Okay, so I made a video like this a year ago, but two significant things have happened in that time. One is we got the release of the first ever Alien television series, Alien Earth, which I have now watched every episode of. And I have actually just rewatched every Alien movie with my girlfriend because she's never seen them. And so we went through the entire franchise and they're all fresh in my mind. And so I thought it would be interesting to do an updated 2025 ranking of the Alien franchise. Now, what I do find the most compelling and interesting about the Alien franchise as a whole, besides its deep lore and history, is that there is so much variety in the content of Alien. Perhaps too much for some people, but there is so much. If you look at everybody's ranking of the series, probably most people would have the first two movies as their first two picks. But then after that, everything is so vastly different. You have people that love the Ridley Scott prequels, people that love Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, the Alien vs. Predator movies, and everything in between. And so that is something that I find very, very interesting about it. And now I'm going to give you my updated rankings of the Alien franchise. Just keep in mind, these are only my opinions. I'm not trying to give some kind of objective list of what is technically the best. I'm just talking about the movies that I like, that resonate with me. Obviously, your list is probably going to look a lot different than my list, so go ahead and put your list down in the comments. I'd be curious to see where everyone ranks all of these movies. And also, to continue the fun, I'm going to throw the Alien vs. Predator movies in there as well, because why the hell not? But because I'm doing that, at number 10, at the very bottom, you have maintained your throne. Good for you. Congratulations. Alien vs. Predator Requiem is still the worst in the Alien franchise. The sad thing is there is actually some pretty good ideas here. I like the idea of there being the pred alien creature and what you could possibly do with that. This was really the first time that xenomorphs were on planet Earth. At least not, they were in the first Alien vs. Predator, but now they're out and exposed in a town attacking people. There's a lot of potential here with what you could do. But unfortunately, this movie is just boring. It has the worst stock cliche slasher main characters. Like, the main characters of this movie are worse than the worst Friday the 13th, the worst Halloween, the worst Nightmare on Elm Street movie, any stock slasher characters you could imagine. Alien vs. Predator Requiem does it worse. They all suck. You can't wait for any of them to die. And when it at least comes to the Alien versus Predator stuff that you want to see aliens fight Predator, you kind of get that, but then you can't see anything that's happening because the movie is so goddamn dark. One fight takes place in a sewer and you have no idea what's going on. The choppy editing ruins it. Another fight takes place on a rooftop. Again, can barely tell what's going on. Choppy editing. And then they constantly throw lines and references from better movies in the franchise, like Get to the Chopper and all of that kind of stuff. Just a terrible movie all around. It should have been great. There's always been potential with Alien vs. Predator, but this one did not hit the mark, and still to this day is currently the worst Alien movie, or the worst movie to feature the xenomorph. Now at my number 9, and this is going to ruffle some feathers, I know, but I have tried to like this movie my entire life, and I just don't, and that is Alien 3. I know that Alien 3 has its fans out there, and I understand why people like it, but just the movie does not work for me. Again, I find it to be incredibly boring. I hate a lot of the choices it makes. I mean, obviously, there's the controversial take of, or the controversial decision to kill off Hicks and Newt in the beginning of the movie. And one of my biggest pet peeves in movies is when you kill off a main character in between movies. If you're going to kill them off, at least let me see it. At least let it happen. And you get, like, part of the ship crash during the opening credits, but you don't actually get to go through it with these characters. But it's not enough for how much the previous movie made you fall in love with these characters. I don't think it's really earned. I think it's just kind of a cheap way to write them out to tell a completely different story. I don't like any of the other characters really that are on this prison planet other than Ripley herself. The things that I do like about Alien 3 is I like seeing the alien come out of another creature, kind of similar to the pred alien when it births out of a organism that is not a human. That's a really interesting concept. I don't think they went far enough with it, but it's a cool concept. And I do like the ending of Ripley sacrificing herself so that the company won't get the xenomorph. But other than those two things, there's nothing I like about the movie. I've seen the extended cut. David Fincher, the director, doesn't even like the movie because of all of the baggage behind the scenes and fights with the studio, not having completed scripts. And I know that there are also scripts out there, previous versions, previous ideas. But at the end of the day, I got to talk about and review what I actually got, what I can actually watch. And I just don't like Alien 3. I just am bored by it. I'm frustrated by it. It's not exciting to me. It's not scary to me. I'm just not a fan of it. So that means in my number 8 spot, I'm going to put Alien Earth, the new TV series. And the reason I'm putting it above Alien 3 is pretty much for episode 5. Episode 5 of this series, I think, is fantastic. And I do think that this series has a lot of great ideas in it. The unfortunate thing is that it massively fumbled the ball in the last 3 to 4 episodes. It went downhill so quickly, and unlike some people, I didn't go into the show to hate it. I didn't want to hate it. I wanted to love it. Everything alien related, I want to love. And I did think that it had some good ideas. I thought this idea of copying somebody's consciousness and putting it into a synthetic body was a really creative idea. I like showing all these different giant corporations that run the world, probably looking into our actual future with Weyland-Yutani and the rival company Prodigy. I like that idea. I loved the character of Morrow. I thought he was compelling, interesting, terrifying, the way that he was manipulating slightly throughout the entire show. And I loved the practical effects. I love the set design. I love the xenomorph effects, most of them anyways, other than when it was lit in bright daylight. That kind of takes away from the guy in the suit aspect. But in the spaceship and in other scenes, I like the Teocellus, the eyeball alien that implants itself into another creature. There's a lot of good stuff in it. The unfortunate thing is that it did not stick the landing. After episode 5, which was a great sort of mini alien movie, it was showing everything that happened on the ship before it crashed on Earth. That in itself could have been an entire film, and I think that that one episode is basically better than Alien 3, and that's why I'm ranking this above it. But overall, I was really disappointed with how this show ended up. I did not like the final couple of episodes where the xenomorph itself was kind of put onto the back burner. I don't like the idea of a character being able to communicate and control the xenomorphs. To me, the xenomorphs have always been portrayed as being the perfect organism, these incredibly intelligent creatures, and I just don't buy the fact that the creature would be some kind of subservient pet to one of the main characters in the show. That takes away the horror aspects of the xenomorphs. It takes away the intelligence of the xenomorphs. It takes away part of what makes them the perfect organism and kind of relegates them to just being a tool to be utilized rather than these things that nobody can fully contain. Every time a character has ever tried to contain the xenomorph or, capture one or maintain some level of authority over it, the xenomorph always gets out, always kills everybody, always outsmarts other people. And that's one of the aspects that I really love about the series. So if you're going to take that away, if you're going to take the intelligence of the xenomorph away and just make them a pet for somebody else, that's going to make it a major disappointment for me. And I don't think that it landed on a lot of the other character arcs too. I think Kirsch was really cool as he was introduced, but then wound up just kind of being okay. And I didn't like the resolution of the ending of the synthetic kids just kind of having ultimate power and taking over everything with no difficulty whatsoever. So really dropped the ball in the last 2 episodes. There are things I like about it, but ultimately I was really disappointed. Now from here on up, I would say that I mostly like the rest of these movies quite a bit. And so in my number 7 spot is going to be the first Alien versus Predator. I think this movie is kind of dumb. I think the premise is kind of dumb, but when it comes to Alien versus Predator, I think it does deliver on what it sets out to do. I like the fight sequences. I like a lot of the action sequences. And this is really, other than Aliens, the only movie that gives us a prominent sequence with an alien queen. And so I got to give it some credit for that, because pretty much all the other movies, even if they feature a queen briefly, don't really do anything with them. Alien vs. Predator has a big, giant battle sequence with the queen at the end. And it's silly, but it's a hell of a lot of fun. So I enjoy it. In my number 6 spot, this will also be controversial to some people. I'm going to put Alien Resurrection, and I actually really, really enjoyed this movie. Once again, I know that it's silly. I know that it's ridiculous. It's an absurd movie. It's kind of like a wacky live action Looney Tunes cartoon, but it was the first Alien movie that I ever saw, and it's what turned me on to this franchise. It's what made me fall in love with Alien. So in my personal ranking, I gotta put it here because without Alien Resurrection, I would never be an Alien fan. And I do think this movie is pretty cool. I like the idea of the Ripley clone. I like that it's more of a creative way to bring Ripley back other than just bringing her back to life, because this character is not Ripley. It is a Ripley clone through and through. It has many differences than Ripley. It doesn't know Ripley's full history. So Sigourney Weaver gets to play a very different type of character. You also have the whole mercenary group. I love Ron Perlman in this movie. I think he's hilarious. I think Winona Ryder does a good job. And the effects in this movie are great. The aliens are so slimy and drippy and gross. And I always say, like, the wetter the better with aliens. I want my aliens wet, all right? I need them soaking, dripping, gooey wetness. And I really like the newborn creature at the end of this movie. Some people don't. Some people think it's goofy. It is kind of goofy, but it's so terrifying because it is very much like an infant. It's like a baby. And it's so powerful. It literally picks a character up and just crushes its skull without barely trying. It kills a queen in one shot. It is like the most powerful creature that's ever existed in these movies. And it has like the mind of an infant alongside a xenomorph. It's just like, I don't know. There's something about it that I enjoy. I know a lot of people hate Alien Resurrection, but I have a lot of fun with it. And because of my history, nostalgia, getting me into the franchise, I like it a lot. Now, from here on up, the top 5, these are all movies I think are great. I might have some nitpicks, I might have some issues, but really, I can watch any of these movies any time of day. Now, I have changed my order since the last time that I made this ranking, so at my number 5, I'm going to put Alien Romulus. I do have some issues with this movie. I have some issues with how they used Ian Holm as the weird CGI abomination. I have some issues with repeating dialogue and moments from other films, kind of making it feel like a greatest hits. However, the more that I watch this movie, the more that I like it. I really do enjoy the main characters, and I think having a younger cast is something creative and different for the franchise. And really, they're not much younger than like Sigourney Weaver was in the first movie, but it's a different... We get to see the lives of different types of people in this universe, which I like. I also really enjoy the character of Andy, the synthetic. I think he does a phenomenal job. I forget the actor's name, but I think he's wonderful in the movie. I love the sequence with the face huggers, that we get to have a huge, prominent set piece moment with face huggers being the main enemy rather than the xenomorphs themselves. And I think that there is a lot of variety in this movie because you get the face huggers, you get the xenomorphs, and then the creature at the end of this film that sold it for me. I think that thing is fucking terrifying, and the way that Rain is just kind of like looking around and she looks over and it's like leaning over in the tunnel just staring at her, this weird giant humanoid monstrosity. I don't know, man. I love the look and feeling to this movie. I think Fede Alvarez really understood Alien as far as like how it's supposed to look, how it's supposed to feel. There's a lot of aspects of like Alien Isolation in this movie, which, by the way, if I was ranking Alien Isolation the game within this ranking, it would probably be next. It would be right above Romulus. But there are a lot of things I like here, and I like how he didn't discount the Ridley Scott prequels, that there's reference to the black goo and reference to the engineers and everything. And so overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy it more the more that I watch it. But at my number 4 spot, I am going to put Alien Covenant, and this is where I'm going to lose a lot of people because there are a lot of people that don't like the Ridley Scott prequels, but I love them. I think that they are fantastic. I am a huge, huge, huge fan of them. And Covenant and Romulus, I was kind of debating where they would fall in my ranking because I kind of feel the same about both of them. Like, I like both of them a lot. They're just not in the top of the franchise for me. And last year, I did put Romulus above Covenant, but after watching Covenant again, I think I got to put it above. I love the look of this movie, the cinematography of it, and I really do think that Covenant is the closest in tone to the original than any of the others. And that might seem crazy, but when you look at the movie, it's kind of like, a spiritual successor to the original Alien, because the crew gets the call, they hear something, they land on the planet, they inspect the derelict ship, something comes out of somebody's body, and then it becomes like this claustrophobic alien battle at the end. Like it really is very similar to the original. David is just a fantastic character that is out of his goddamn mind. And I like the doppelganger idea with him being there with an android that looks just like him. I love the creatures in this film. The neomorphs are crazy. That entire sequence where the one member of the crew is freaking out in the medical room and the neomorph comes out of his back and his body just falls over limp. And then you have this little creature running around the cornfield, biting people's arms off, and another one sprouting out of somebody's mouth, vomiting blood everywhere. Like, the scene is so goddamn crazy that I just can't help but love it. And I will forever be disappointed and upset that we never got the third installment to the trilogy, because where this movie ends, I need to know where David went with that ship and what is going to happen to him. So someday, somewhere, if we can get the continuation in a comic book, a novel, like just something, give us something to tie these loose ends together. And in my top 3, I think all 3 of these films are masterpieces. I give them all 5 out of 5 stars, 10 out of 10. I love all these movies. At my number 3 is going to be Prometheus. And again, I really debated maybe putting Prometheus in my number 2 spot, but I'm going to put it at 3. I think this movie is beautiful. I think it's a sci-fi masterpiece. I love the way it looks. I love the way that it talks about humanity's desire for creating something and then what happens when the creation surpasses the creator. I love the lore of the engineers and the mystery behind them and what they're doing, kind of like spreading their DNA throughout all of these different planets. And, are we just a failed experiment? And even if we are, what is the meaning to that? Like, can we create our own meaning? All of the ideas and all the questions that the movie asks. And I love how it plays into the alien mythology without having to necessarily be about the xenomorphs. And I have been praising this movie since it came out in 2012. I have noticed recently that Prometheus has a lot more fans than it used to, and I'm very grateful for that. But I remember everybody being disappointed because there's no xenomorphs in it, and they thought the characters were stupid. But if you look at all of these movies, every single one of them has characters doing stupid things. I could go on and point by point, like, try to make arguments about, why I think the characters in this movie are fine. But, like, I think that people were way too critical and way too harsh on this movie because it wasn't something that they wanted it to be. And I think they dismissed it too quickly because Ridley Scott really did something creative, different, and interesting with the franchise. Other than just giving us the same shit over and over and over again, he actually wanted to explore an aspect that nobody else touched on. And I remember watching, like, the commentary of Alien or Prometheus or one of them, and he was talking about, like, I can't believe all the people that made sequels, nobody made a movie about the alien in the chair. Like, nobody made a movie about what this creature is. And that's what he wanted to do. He's like, well, if no one else is going to do it, I'll do it, And I love the character of David and how that relates to the themes of the movie. I just love this fucking movie, man. Fucking love this movie. And I don't care what anyone else says. And I don't care how much it's hated and how much it's shitted on. I will be a Prometheus fan forever. But the top 2 are obvious. Number 2 is Aliens, and I really did debate putting Prometheus over it, but I cannot, I have so much history with Aliens because I watched these movies when I was younger, and Aliens is just such a perfect movie. It just is. Like, it's fun, it's intense, it's dramatic, it has fantastic characters, it has brilliant setups and payoffs. It has wonderful action scenes, wonderful practical effects. You get the Queen alien introduced. You get this entire character arc with Ripley expanding on her character, knowing that she lost her daughter, never got to see her life, and then having this kind of surrogate mother aspect with Newt and wanting to protect her, the battle of the moms at the end of the movie. You got Burke being a total asshole, the guy you can't wait to see die. I love a lot of the Marines, Hicks and Hudson, flipping the script on Bishop and having him actually be an android that is legitimately helping them out with no alternative motive. And the movie never lets up. Like, I'm never bored watching Aliens, and really, it does take a long time for the aliens to show up. If you watch the director's cut, I think it's like an hour and 15 minutes or something before the xenomorphs actually show up, but you're so engaged with the story that that you're there for more than just that. You're there to see what happens to Ripley. You're there to see how Ripley handles, waking up 50 some years into the future. Like, there's so much good happening in this movie, and there's so much payoff. The last 20 minutes of this movie are just pure fucking brilliant 80s sci-fi cinema. And Aliens is one of the best. But at number one, of course, is the original Alien. I think this is a perfect horror film. The atmosphere of this movie, to me, has hardly ever been replicated in any other movie. I love how the first half is this slow, methodical, building, suspenseful thing with characters that are introduced in a way to where if you watch this movie without knowing Sigourney Weaver is the main character, any of them could really end up being the main character. They're all equal as they're introduced. And the thing that makes this movie so terrifying to me is not just the fact that they're on a spaceship and there's nobody around, for millions of miles and nobody can help them, but it's also that this is before we knew so much about the xenomorphs, that if you watch this movie keeping in mind that it's the first time the xenomorph was ever introduced, every single thing that happens in this movie is so fucking terrifying if you think about it, because the characters have no idea how this creature works, right? Like, the facehugger gets on him, they're like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? Let's cut it off. They try to cut it off, it's got acid blood. We don't know what to do. Let's try to figure something else out. Creature falls off. He feels fine. Oh, I guess everything's okay. Oh, now something is bursting out of his fucking chest and it ran away onto the ship. Well, let's go catch it. Oh, we didn't realize that within a 5-hour period, it's going to grow to full adult size and start killing everybody, and is this massively intelligent, perfect hunter that goes through the air ducts and is waiting for the right time to strike and is way more powerful and way more intelligent than you could possibly imagine. We have no idea what to do. We're limited on weapons. We're limited on resource. We're in a tiny fucking ship where the corridors are like this big, claustrophobic. And what I think is so brilliant about how the story progresses is that, like, you have the first half of this movie that have these long takes and wide shots and this slow, methodical building of exploring the derelict ship. And then in the final 20 minutes, it's just like Ripley running through the corridors, massive flashing lights everywhere, alarms going off, steam flying, aliens attacking. And it's like, it just becomes like the polar opposite of what the first half of the movie was. But the transition is so well woven that you don't even realize that you go from this slow paced, thought-provoking movie into this just insane slasher horror film without a moment's notice. Anyways, that is my current ranking of the Alien franchise. So let me know what you think of my ranking. I'm sure it will be controversial to some, but like I said, the brilliant thing about the Alien franchise is that everybody can have their own personal ranking, and it's all different. Everyone likes different things. Let me know your ranking down below. Give this video a like and a comment. Help it out in the algorithm. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. If you want to support the channel on a deeper level, I do have Patreon channel memberships. Even $1 a month goes a long way. It could really, really help me out. Other than that, guys, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time.